I think we do. Hi everyone.
Hi.
I am Aphinity, and this is
Kijani.
Ithabise, still.
And
Jane.
Jane. Hello. we'll be your panelists for today. Thank you for coming. You're in the Fursuit Performance panel. If you're in the wrong panel, we won't feel bad if you immediately get up and leave. That's all good. Thanks for coming.
Down in our little black book.
Yes, we'll hate you forever. It's fine. How many people are in here are fursuiters? Okay, about half of you. All right. That's interesting. Normally, people who come to this panel are fursuiters themselves, but if you're just interested in the idea, this is a great panel to come to as well, just to get an idea of how you can improve your ability to communicate your character and communicate your enjoyment, I suppose, out to other people. Or maybe not even enjoyment, maybe your character is different from that. But either way, it's to help you express yourself as a performing character, both in the fandom and outside of it. Who's been to other panels today, or even the con, for fursuiting specifically? Okay. All right, so there's going to be a few overlapping topics, but we're going to try and keep it mostly about performance and how to perform, how to react, and those types of things. I think we should probably start with the requirements. Generally a good idea to start with the requirements before you start to perform. Does everyone know what the first rule of all fursuiting is? Yes?
Don't take off.
That's a pretty good one. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's a pretty good one. I think, sir.
Always have spotters.
Always have spotters. Thank you. That is the exact one I was looking for. Thank you. Spotters, yes. Spotters, or at least the other one and the other side of this. If you have been to any of the panels that, the panel that we hosted last year, our main rule was what?
Yeah, never go out without a spotter.
Never go without a spotter, and also to go into that, did you have another one?
That's what
you're going to say? Yeah. The other one is essentially knowing your environment. Know your environment, whatever it might be. Your environment includes many things, including the people around you, the hotel or the rooms that you're in, the floor that you're on, the conditions, whether it's raining or not. Inside, obviously, hopefully it's not raining unless you're Cody and put a fursuit on the sprinkler. Wow, I didn't say that. No, you never heard me say that. Actually, he's not Canadian anymore. He's been renounced. No, at the time. Okay, I'll give you that. Anyways, so knowing your environment. So the first thing you got to find out, if you're in a hotel, well, fine, you're in a hotel. You have carpet, you have floors, you have lots and lots of con attendees, not a whole lot of kids. That's all good. But if you're going to walk out into the park, well, that's going to change. You might have grass, you might have mud, you might have rocks, you might have kids that are this tall that you can't see that are going to walk immediately in front of you and kick them 5 feet down the floor. We've all done it.
Yes.
I've made that joke before because it happens that much.
Go for holes.
Another thing you really need to know is environmental factors is the suit you're wearing itself. A lot of suits obviously have reduced vision for the ability not being able to act or feel things. You have to know what these reductions in physical abilities that you have are. That's part of your environment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Chain here, for example. Chain, you probably have slightly limited vision in that suit, I imagine. Is that right? Yeah.
I can see you and the leopard.
There you go. Or a cheetah?
Leopard.
Yeah. Okay. We got the feline part, so there you go. So field of vision. Dexterity, also a big one. Did you have any other thoughts? Yeah, so honestly, like knowing those things and knowing your environment is the first major rule. That's where a spotter comes in, because a spotter can actually help you get all that done. For all of you who were at the spotter panel, I don't see many of you, but a couple of you maybe, there's a number of factors that your spotters will help you with. The first one is the environment. There is... Hello! Come on in! Enter! Oh, Fizzle, we were just telling everyone about knowing your environment and the importance of spotters. Now, of course, in the case of a con, a spotter is not as important because there's a number of people like us that are already aware of the limitations of costume. We're not likely to go up there and, sit in front of you, without you knowing you're there, or just generally cause problems. So a spotter's a little less important. We're not going to come up there and rip your tail off, or at least I certainly hope not. If you ever see that, please report them. But anyways. Yeah, so anyways, that type of thing doesn't usually happen. So spotters are a little less important, but knowing your environments is just as important.
Okay, so like we were saying, at a convention it's a lot easier because a lot of the people that are around know that you're a performer and they know the things to look for. So particularly, I'm not sure where we're going with this at this point, but assuming that we're at a con, it's a lot easier. If you're out in public, however, obviously your environment is going to change significantly. So as a spotter, I'm going to hit this a little bit because you really have to pay attention to who's around you. I did this also in the spotter class, but if you weren't there, usually want to find space around your suitor where you can pay attention yet stay. I use this circle on the floor over here as a good example. It's roughly, obviously they're doing a pretty good job of showing you here. But you want to stay far enough as a spotter out to where you can step in and resolve the situation if something comes, but stay spaced enough from them that everybody can still get pictured with them and you're not in their way.
And so they don't elbow check you in the face.
And they can hear you as well. The other thing if you're a spotter is any command or anything you say, if you say it, you want to also use you're talking to the audience, but you want to use a loud enough voice that your performer can also hear what you're saying. So if there's a child coming that you're quite aware that your performer can't see, say they're looking the other way, you can say something along the lines of, oh, well, here comes whatever to meet our performer. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at that particular part. And you have to say it loud enough that your performer can then also hear what you're saying. So they'll be able to say, oh, okay, there's obviously something coming, I'll pay attention to this.
The one that I always like to use is, oh, look, Fizzle, you have a friend. Yeah, that's the line. That's the line I always like to use. There's a friend in front of you, Fizzle. There's someone behind you. Blah blah blah. That's kids like that.
Another really important thing when you're working with kids in particular is, especially the younger set, is that a fursuit appears to be a big hulking thing to them, and you can really scare them. So you need to lower yourself somehow, and get down to their level, and interact with them in that way. Yeah, exactly like that.
Does anyone work with kids here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you already know that rule. The general rule is, you're walking up, there's a young child, you are a big bearing, it doesn't matter what you are. You put on a character like Fizzle, suddenly you're this giant green monster that's going to eat them. But when you're down like he is now, then, well, a little less intimidating. Oh, look, he's down at my level. Oh, look, he's no longer this big towering monster. Yes?
Sometimes, even then, they'll still be, scared. So a good thing to do is to pantomime to them,
exactly,
kind of being cute.
And you can also use your spotter, if you see a kid's really scared of you, you can actually hide behind your spotter in suit, and that'll, make it oh, they're scared too, and then they'll, that's one good way to do it.
And as a spotter, you can also help with that a lot. If you can see someone that's apprehensive about approaching the character, you can, oh, don't worry, he's okay. I know him. He's really nice.
Shane, can you demonstrate
you can help out with that?
But the other approach, if there's some characters or some kids that will just be completely scared of you, like we were mentioning, and doing that approach really works well, especially if you are working to try and approach them, because there's times when you can be scared and just back away and not do anything, and that's one approach. There's another approach that Chain wanted to show you, to basically kind of be the timid one that's sort of, well, I'm still going to come up to you, but I'm being really kind of timid. And yeah, so she's backing away, she's doing the whole backing away thing. And it tends to help if you kind of act like a dog or something like that along those lines. And you see, I probably would cover my eyes a little bit more, because it makes, that's an expression. You have to remember, when you're performing, as Fizzle is demonstrating, when you're in suit, your suit can't necessarily, well, some can, I suppose, but most suits can't change their expression. So you have to do everything with your hands.
Unless you have props.
Well, you can use props, yeah. There's lots of ways, absolutely, yeah. There's lots of ways to do it, but the most common one is using your hands. If you think about cartoons, how does a cartoon character go, how are they surprised? Do it now. How do you do it? Like this, something usually flailing backwards, right? How would you do it? Yeah, like that, or
Okay, and then you've got that's more like, you know.
That's getting shot with a crossbow and rifle too.
That too. There's all kinds of them. Okay, here let's show me another expression. Any expression you want, Fizzle. Just give me any expression. Just any expression. Okay, what's that one?
It looks like he's got to use the bathroom.
Not quite. what does anyone think that is?
He's afraid.
He's afraid, exactly. So he's kind of nervous. He's holding his mouth. You know, it's like, oh, you know, like this. It looks like you're a little cold, maybe too. Is that part of it? Yeah. So that's cold, right? You could be, yeah, I need to use the bathroom, but yeah.
And also, a big rule of thumb to remember is when you're doing this, if you're the performer, exaggerate your movements. Like he's really shaking his whole body, make sure you exaggerate that movement. You'll really get the point of what's going on. It's really hard. If you just do a little wave or something, it's really hard to see what you're doing. But if you're really excited about it, then they'll definitely be able to see what you're trying to do.
Big and broad.
Yeah,
Well,
everything is bigger.
Here's a case in point. Actually, Fizzle, could you go back to the back of the room and just follow me back? Now, not for bad reasons, come on. That was a very good expression of I'm sad now, actually. That's actually the one that I use all the time, the kicking the can thing. Alright. So I'm obviously not a suitor, but when I walk, I'm just walking like this. I'm just a normal walker, I'm just walking normally. Nothing's wrong with me being out of costume walking like that. Fizzle, can you walk the most normal way you can towards me? Alright. Most boring suitor in the world. Okay? Now show me how you really walk. Alright, so there you go. So Alright, so he's hamming it up a little bit, but I think the point of the exaggeration was what I was trying to get across there. Even just walking can be a huge difference towards how people interpret you. Yes?
Okay. Sorry to interrupt again, but
No, it's fine.
when you have a monotone color suit like mine,
Yeah.
it's also, and like hers, a good idea is you have to over-exaggerate even more because
Yep.
otherwise if you keep your hands close to your body, you're going to fade into yourself. So you have to actually, bring your hands out and
There's absolutely
exaggerate even more.
exactly.
The balcony.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with walking like this.
Well,
Of course, me walking like that now looks like I'm a complete idiot. But when you walk in costume like that, no, that's swimming.
That's drowning.
That's more or less what I'm trying to. Does that make sense though? The exaggerating your movements, moving everything overly. If you think you got to go this far, go this far. If you think you have to walk this much, go this much.
Don't hit people in the face.
Yeah.
I've never been like a huge performer, really, anything at fursuit and stuff, and I try to do my best at it. My thing is like, if there's no other fursuiters around me to interact with me, it's really hard to kind of get into it, if that makes sense. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm being boring or whatever. And then even if there's a lot of people around me, but there's no other fursuiters around me, it's just I kind of feel very I don't know how to
Interact with the object.
Your concern is that from what you're telling me that you have a lot of trouble getting into character when you're by yourself.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and that's a valid one. In fact, most people who are starting out will have that concern because when you don't have a whole lot of experience with it, you're going to be judging everything you do, and you think, well, did I move my hands enough there? Do I look like, am I expressing the wrong thing? The only thing I can tell you for that, the mirror is your friend. There is absolutely nothing wrong with sitting in front of a mirror for an hour and figuring out things. I've done it. I think pretty well everyone out here has. When I get a new suit, you'll see most of the really good performers. I'm not going to tell everyone, obviously, but most of the really good performers, when they put on their suit, you'll see them doing the check. Figuring out where everything is because every suit is different.
Yeah, your human eyes and ears are not where your fursuits, body parts are. So you got to know where you are, where your muzzle is, so you can exaggerate those movements properly.
Like Fizzle, could you? I'm going to make a really loud noise now. Ah! What are you going to do? Okay.
He's gonna die, but
That's not really what I was looking for, but
the noise isn't that
Can you
loud.
stand up? Keep it set up. Can you cover your ears for me? Okay. So you notice his ears aren't there. His ears are here in the suit, but of course he has to know to put his hands up here. That's a very important thing to understand. The more you know your suit, the more comfortable you're going to feel with doing things in it. And when you're even by yourself, regardless, in fact, I don't know if for you guys if it's any different. I actually get intimidated in a group because I always think that I'm the worst performer in the group. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything because that guy's way better than me, and that's how I feel. But it's interesting hearing your perspective where you have the opposite. Is that
well, the thing with me, if like I'm in a big group and there's other fursuiters there, I kind of feed off their energy. They're interacting. They're the same size. They're into it. You know, you can kind of balance. You know.
Okay, I got you. So yeah, so what you're telling me is that you're having a little trouble with getting the energy going.
Right.
When
exactly.
you're by yourself. Yeah, that makes sense. Because when you and actually the energy is a word I like to use sometimes to describe what you need to do in order to kind of get yourself revved up for it. I know I'm going to use Thumper as an example. He's not here, unfortunately. He would normally be here for this panel, but either way, he's an incredible performer, and I'll just say that. He would hate for me to tell you all that, but he's really good. And when you see him getting going, he actually does this, and he'll do the eyes, ears thing, and he'll actually rub around and kind of run around a little bit, just sort of getting himself geared up for it. Kind of like you're getting ready for a game or something. Yeah, marathon. Because you are. I mean, if you ever see him performing, you'll see him. He's really animated, and he's jumping around a lot, and he creates his own energy through that. So ultimately, by sort of doing that whole thing, you get yourself ready for it.
A lot of it, if you're out performing, is imagine that there's a tune going on and you're dancing to that. A lot of times that energy will pick up and the energy will flow through you and people will come to you for that. And when you get more people, that's more opportunity for you to act for them as well. So as they start to come over, then you've got, so to speak, I hate using this term, but you can use them as a prop as well. So
it's good to pay attention to your surroundings too, because if you find something like if you're in a elevator full of people that are non-fursuiters, and you're a fursuiter, you can run up to the door and start scratching at it and stuff like that. And again, it'll start giving off people laugh and.
Yep. That comes into knowing your suit as well, knowing your character. Like some characters have really clicky claws. I love clicky claws. It's the most fun thing to play with. Exactly. And you can run around and click on things. You can startle people with it. I love kids with bicycle helmets or any kind of helmet because you go up to them and like that, and it like echoes through their head. They're like, whoa! It's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, yeah, you wouldn't want to startle them with it, but if you were to, go up and like that, a lot of them are like, that's cool, do it again. And so, anyway, but knowing those types of things, if you can use them, most of the time, here's the simple rule. If you find it amusing, other people will find it amusing. And if you don't find it amusing, they'll probably still find it amusing. So, go ahead and do it. Honestly, the bigger fool you can make of yourself, the more fun everyone else is going to have. This is not the kind of gig you want to get into if you are very concerned about your personal image. Because believe me, you can't dress up in a giant.
If you put this on, your personal image is gone. Just know
that.
But with that said, it doesn't mean that you completely eliminated all respect. Respect is one thing. Image is another. So, yeah. Yes.
My dad actually found out about Freeze like 4 or 5 months ago or whatever, and he goes, "That would be so much fun because you can make a complete jackass out of yourself, and nobody would know who you are."
Thank you.
Well, the only problem is when people actually start recognizing your suit. Then they know who you are.
That's right.
But you can still be a jackass and, well, they don't care. It's like, oh, it's so cute.
You got it.
At that point, it doesn't matter. It's for your fun as well. Have fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, not to touch on the subject too much, but I mean, as far as what you do it for, you know what you do this for. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has their own reasons for getting into a character and doing this. But knowing, and I mentioned this in the last panel, but knowing what you do this for can be a huge difference towards how you do it. Because I mean, if you exclusively do this simply because I feel connected with you know, raccoons, and I want to wear my raccoon character, and this is me, and I'm going to pretend to be a raccoon to the best of my ability, and if people get it, then that's great, but I don't really care because I'm a raccoon. That's all good, you know, because that's a self-centered approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's another approach where it's like, I want to go out and make an absolute jackass of myself and make as many people laugh as I possibly can. And that is great too, because that's actually kind of my approach, to be honest with you. I like to go out there and see that smile. And, you know, if you come up to me and you're smiling, I don't care if you're laughing at me or with me, you're laughing. And I brought it to you regardless of whether or not it's at my expense or not. Because either way, you're laughing more than you were prior to when I was there. And that's my approach. Now, not everybody feels that way about the way they perform, but that's how I like to think about it. So, knowing that going forward, you get to communicate it. You can just do it based on that approach, on that impression. I'm sorry, I'm skipping over my words here. I'm looking at you, Kijani, because you're nodding.
Yeah, I mean, everyone pursues for different reasons, but you know, there's nothing like going out there and putting a smile on a stranger's face. If you're out in public, you know, con environment, you know, same thing. Yeah, but yeah, that's absolutely like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Sorry.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, if you're worried about what you're doing, don't worry. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Like we were saying before, exaggerate things. If you're walking, just stop and spin around, look behind you, get your arms up there. Do things, dance a little, whatever you do. It does not matter. As long as you're active, people will see that. And that's really all it's about. Yeah. You're out there to make them have fun. And even the slightest little things are amazing for people that you're wearing this suit. If you bring this suit, you're bringing that character to life. It's something they don't see every day. And you got to know that this, just seeing this is something that you're not going to see. So the more you do, the happier they're going to be. And I'll tell you, when you see that reaction on the people, when you go out in public or at a convention, wherever you are, that reaction will help you get more active. If you're seeing people that are happy and they're seeing if you bring a smile to their face, believe me, that energy will flow through you and you'll start getting more active too. So.
Don't go into a public venue that you don't already know you can be there for. If it's a private place in any way, like a mall is a private corporation. They have no obligation to have anyone there. It is your, it's not your right to be there, it's your privilege. Anything like that, don't just walk into a mall. Please don't do that. Please don't walk into like a random store without permission. You will be kicked out.
Most of them have no mask policies.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's what's going on.
You guys think of it this way. I mean, if Fizzle walks in as cute as he is and then pulls out an AK-47, I mean, they don't know who he is.
All cuteness goes out the window.
So, I mean, they have some stores will be worse about it than others, but as a rule, especially, and I don't mean to categorize, but I have found that when I'm up north of the border, there's less of an issue with that. Down here, I find they're a lot more stickler about it. That it depends where you are, of course, but I've heard this from multiple people. That's the only reason I say that.
The park's pretty neutral, but you know, there's a big difference between a group of kids and then, let's say, you run into, say, a bunch of business people in their suits. That's pretty different.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I've been led out of stores when I tried to do this a few times when I was before I really knew how to do it. We got about 3/4 of the way around Fry's before we got kicked out by the secret shoppers, and they were not happy. Wow. You know, I can think of a couple malls that people have gone to where they've been escorted out by, you know, multiple security people. It's just not fun when that happens. So,
I'd like to avoid it.
Yeah, but however, in a park, a public park, or anything like that, all bets are off. Everyone's allowed there. So, you know, that's the way it is. Yes.
It's really a good idea if you really want to go to a place like a mall or something. Some malls will allow it if you talk to management and tell them what you want to do.
Yes.
Look, I do this. Some of us do it professionally.
Yep.
We want to practice this. Can we use your venue? And in some cases, you might even get offers to come in repeatedly.
Yep.
I ended up playing, me and a group of 12 fursuiters in Michigan ended up playing fursuit laser tag.
That's
like
awesome.
in full suit. Because the mall loved us and loved the people coming in just randomly to see the people walking around. And their business got more business because of it. So it's really a know the venue, try to get permission ahead of time.
We did hit on this briefly.
That's awesome.
That can actually backfire.
Can I see your license and registration, please?
This was in England. These were unregulated go-karts, and I completely agree with you. However,
That looks dangerous.
not to take away from the subject, but we actually do cover that in another panel. So if we can move on from that, but I completely agree with you. Definitely check into it if you're really, really wanting to do that. But let's focus more on the actual performance aspect. Now, the real thing we have to be aware of is things that you can use to further increase your communication, I suppose. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the right words here, but essentially when you're out there and you want to be that character and you're just going crazy like what Ithabise was saying, when he says that, I mean just like you can do anything. I mean you can walk up and be like, oh, look at this phone, this is cool. You know, and just do crazy stuff with the phone.
Props down the street. Payphones are excellent. They're always there.
Payphones are excellent.
Hardly anybody ever uses them anymore. So I mean, if you use a payphone, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, payphone. You might. Exactly. See, he's going to the garbage.
Is he a raccoon now?
He's a raccoon.
Yeah, you are a raccoon, right, Fizzle?
Yeah, he belongs in there.
I'm glad I got that right. Okay. But yeah, see what he's doing. See, you guys are laughing, and you see that's the whole point. See, all he's doing is just going up and rummaging some cans, and you know how, of course, that completely fits with his character, and people are going to identify that. And Shane's being destructive. You know, scritching and stuff like that. That's very con stuff. Yeah, basically anything that just comes naturally. I mean, you remember, you got to put yourself in the mentality. I know I like to do this. When you are a raccoon, you have to think of all the atypical things that a raccoon might be known for. Because that's what people are expecting you to do. If you're a dog, well, they're going to expect you to go chase balls and, you know, chase cats and, you know, scratch your ears and generally, you know, shake your leg when you get scratched. And, you know, little things like that. If you know those things getting into the character and you can actually pull them off, for when people are interacting with you, that just adds to it. I mean, like a phone, actually, one of my favorite ones was when I was interacting with Thumper, actually. We were actually on TV at the time, and we grabbed a phone from a telethon, and he's got the phone in his ear like this, and I tell him I want it, so he gives it to me, and I take it and I eat it. And we were on TV camera at the time, and it made it on the news. And everyone's like, oh, I saw you, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you know, it wouldn't have been on there if it wasn't funny, right? So you just got to find things to interact with and do. So can anyone else name some props that they know of that they may have interacted with or worked with that people don't even think about? Here, yes?
Hats.
Hats.
Somebody runs.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
Run up, steal a hat, put it on your, look all cute.
Yeah. Hats are a king, absolutely king. There's another one that people, and now this is not an object, but another very commonly used item on everyone and every single person for the most part, except for maybe some. Hands. Hands. If I go up to you and go, did I say anything to him there? No. Do you have to say anything to get a high five from someone? No. And it is a universal, absolutely, completely universal thing. Except for him. And I mean, with that said, I mean, anybody from 3 years old, even 2 years old and up, will know how to high five. So that is your immediate in, regardless.
And if a kid's not shy, and pardon me, you can run up and go.
Yeah. Yeah, ruffle their hair. Be careful about touching people, though. As a rule.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's if
at
you've already broken.
At a con, that's usually fine, but you want to be careful around public people for that kind of thing. Yes.
Whenever I go out with other people, we usually have a rule like keep your hands where everybody can see them. And I mean, not that anybody has bad intentions, but it just saves you, protects yourself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, or some people could be complete dicks,
Yep.
So just kind of keep your hands, if a kid wants to run up and give you a hug, just kind of go like that, keep your hands, where everybody can see them.
Yep,
so.
Yep, no, yeah, exactly. But that's, again, generally speaking, in a fandom situation, you don't have to worry about that. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize when they haven't been in costume before is exactly how much you can get away with in a character.
Yeah, you have much more free reign than if you were just walking down the street.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a giant fuzzy animal costume, I hate to say it, but you have free reign to do pretty well anything you want. I mean, I have gotten into places I should have never been in. I have taken things from people and done things that I would never have done in person because they're liable to get punched out. But it's like the weirdest thing. Like I've stolen someone's popcorn in a movie theater and throw it in the garbage, and they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Do that in person, see how they act. That's not going to happen. Yes.
Here's a
question sort of related to that. How many times have you thought, what the hell am I doing while in fursuit?
What the hell am I doing this for? Or
how the hell am I getting away with this? What the hell is going on? All that.
If you are thinking that to yourself, you're doing it right.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, don't be destructive. I mean, don't go up and like start drawing on something with like a felt marker or something. But you don't need to worry quite as much about the simple things. The simple things in life can be quite funny. Running away with somebody's hat, and you know, like you mentioned, hats, they are king. You can go and run away with someone's hat and just go put it somewhere that they can't reach it. That's really funny. I've done that a few times to kids. They absolutely freak out. It's like, and then they go and grab it, of course, eventually. Or, you might go get it for them or something, but either way. Just simple things like that. Squeaker.
As far as simple things go, another thing you can really use is environmental features. We were talking this briefly, like, say, the payphone or whatever, but other things can be as simple as a crack in the pavement. If you walk up to that, you look at it, you're checking it out, you really get into that. Or say if it's a speed bump, jump across from it, and you get other people into this, and you can use anything.
Or you trip over it on purpose.
Make like you tripped over it.
Yeah, that was Rob's big one.
Yell at it. It really shows when you're active like that.
Just
you can use anything.
Yeah. You'll find most fursuiters who have done this for a while will be very animated even in person. I know when I get out of character, I'll quite often be walking around and someone says something funny, I'll do this without even thinking about it, because it becomes instinctual.
It takes a while to wind down.
Yeah, especially when you're first getting going. You can always usually tell someone who's been in suit a lot, because they'll do that. They'll be very expressive with their hands. Let's see here. I'm running out of I'm jogging through my mind here. Yes?
What about gimmicks? Should each character have its own gimmick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that sort of goes along the lines of props and things. I mean, knowing your character and knowing your environment is very much to do with that. Like, were you thinking of something in particular?
I do rifle clipping.
Rifle clipping?
Yeah, I did it in high school, then honor guards in the military.
Okay.
If you have a skill like that, absolutely. And there's lots of people out there that are looking for people that have the ability to do that. And let's just say if you walk up, say lots of people do backflips and stuff like that. All that kind of thing is amazing. If you could do that in person, that's amazing. If you could do that in suit, that's spectacular.
Fizzle, let's see a backflip.
Here?
Cartwheel? No, that's about as much as excuse me. But yeah, no, absolutely. Gimmicks like that, any kind of special skill, like you said. The one that I've always found that's very universal, who's good at dancing? A couple of people? Can you make it look good at least? Anybody?
Good.
Dancing is almost always the universal win, and it works for almost every character, regardless of what your mobility is, regardless of what the character is. If you can dance well, if you hear any music at all, and you just immediately start getting into that groove and whatever, everyone will love it, every time.
Even if you can't dance, as long as you can keep the beat, you're fine.
Yeah, if you can just sway your hips, and, especially if there's people there, because people absolutely hate having someone come up and dance with them out of the blue. And you can go and do that. Like, I could go up to, like, Kijani and be like, yeah, dance, and I grab his hands, and we just kind of dance around like this, and then I'm like, okay, you're an idiot. And that can be absolutely hilarious. So, I mean, that's the other one, and I forgot about that one. Absolutely make fun of people. Absolutely. This is open game. This is not recess and grade school, okay? It is okay to make fun of people in costume, because they're going to probably laugh as hard as anyone else will. Particularly if you find something about them that you can say, like, universal. Yeah. Yeah. You already did. The universal one is, Fizzle, can you show us the universal making fun of someone? Think of it. Think. That's pretty good. Yeah. There's another one. What's very common around fur cons? Fizzle. Stop laughing for a moment. There. Hand up. You're a terrible demonstration. Fizzle, do you like how he smells? There you go. So there you go. Grabbing the nose. This is a common one, like this.
Like that one, if I could demonstrate. There you go. Yeah.
Wow. All over your, hey, pick it up.